Well, here we are back to the Life After Debt podcast. We've been off for a few weeks, and I'm so excited to have someone that I actually met later in my life when I moved down to Bradenton. I'm a Tampa girl, so I moved all the way down to Bradenton. One of the first people I met, I feel like it was like on a deserted island, but it kind of was, but not really. And I can so vividly remember the entire scenario, which I'll share with you briefly. But I want to just say I am so excited to share you joy with our listeners today because I think you have such a great story of wearing multiple hats and going from motherhood to mogul. That's really the way I see it. You took a concept that you were passionate about and you turned it into a multi-million-dollar company, which I think is remarkable in lieu of the fact that it's not even something that you went to school for, but it's just something you were passionate about. And I know at the Life After Debt podcast, one of the things I always talk to people about is, one is getting out of debt, but the other is building wealth. And I think you're a great example of how to do just that, build wealth and take something from nothing and just create a life that you love. So welcome to the Life After Debt podcast, Joy.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So I guess we should just kind of start with how we met. What that looked like. So I can remember, but my interpretation may be different than yours. So I'll share my side and then you can share yours.
That's
I
fair.
can remember meeting you. I was on a boat ride. I know you went to school with my husband, Ryan, and I didn't know a lot of people. I knew a few people that were there, but I still was getting familiar with people in this area. And I can remember pulling up and seeing your husband and your kids and you, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I think I even said to you, you look just like Bethany Frankel. Do you remember that?
That's exactly what you said.
And how did that make you feel?
Wow, that's a great counseling question. I remember you walking toward me, and in my head, I was thinking, like, I definitely don't know her, but she's coming for me. And then you said, "You're Bethany Frankel." So that's how it started.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to me because looking back, I just immediately knew, even though you said that, and I thought it was like crazy. I was like, I like her. I like this girl. Like, you just came right for me. And then we started talking and, we were just joking around right away and like comfort level was there. And then I do remember after that, you reached out to me because of this tiny little bit of our conversation was business related. And then you followed up with me about what I told you.
Yeah. And I think for me, when I think back of that season of my life, it certainly was difficult. I'm very transparent with my listeners. And so for me, I was walking through a season where it was really tough and I didn't really know you that well, but I think that knowing, hey, she went to school to be a counselor, surely she can counsel me. Not many people could do that, but I felt so comfortable opening up to you. And I can remember I truly believe you helped save my marriage without a doubt.
Wow.
I mean, I remember meeting you at Starbucks. You'd be like, okay, listen, you're going to do exactly what I tell you. Just write this down. And I can remember thinking, okay, I'm going to listen to you. So the feeling was mutual. I think it's important you know that. But I am so excited because for our listeners for you to share what you created from nothing. And, you've been in business now with Embrace Your Space for 9 years, which that's remarkable, Joy. First of all, 9 years.
I know. It doesn't seem real, honestly.
Right.
It really, when I thought about it, it's like that number, it happened fast. It has gone by fast. But when I think about 9 years ago and where I was, a lot has happened and I've completely changed my view on this business.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing, but I definitely remember in the beginning, the biggest thing for me that you helped me with was that initial fear of taking just a hobby and making it into something where you actually get paid to do something you love. That to me was the line I wasn't crossing on my own. So when we met and you laid that out and kind of put that out there for me, that's the first time it ever clicked. This is something that someone sees in me and believes in me enough to give me that push. I mean, that was kind of where it all started. And I really feel that gratitude to you, which, I keep joking, how many times will I thank you, but it will not stop. And I just I mean, for me, having someone who saw that potential and, made me kind of overcome that initial fear, that's what I needed. So that's what happened 9 years ago.
Well,
So,
thank you. And I appreciate that. But I do have to say, like, I have so many meetings with people,
yeah.
and it's I would say 1 out of 10
Wow.
actually put the pieces in place to make it happen, and you were
Yeah.
the one. And so I can remember vividly that day we were sitting at the table and I said,
Yes.
"Joy, like you said, my kids are back in school full
Yes.
time. I have got to find something to do." And I was like,
hmm
"You've got to start your own business." And
Yep.
the look, and I just want you to share with the listeners too, like when I said that to you, what was your biggest fear of like going down this road of starting your own business? Like what was going through your head?
Okay. So, personality types, I think, play a lot into it. Like, I'm the type of person that I don't want to do something if it's not going to be perfect. I
Mhm.
don't want to do something if there's a chance that I'm going to fail or, people are going to see my failure or I'm going to look bad. Like, I care a lot about that and I don't want to let the people in my life down. I don't want to let myself down. It's just that pressure that I think I was putting on myself. Like, I'm not going to do this and take a chance that it's not going to stick.
Mhm.
And um, so I think for me, I couldn't reconcile that part on my own. Like, I knew that I was good at organizing. I knew that I was good at decorating. I had done it my whole life for people.
Mhm.
But then there's, like I said, that line that I consider it where then you're taking it and you're using it and someone's paying you for it.
Mhm.
So you kept saying it and I trusted you, but I also didn't have faith in myself enough
Mm.
to do it like with a business, make it
Mhm.
official. And I don't know if you remember, but the thing that really got, pushed me forward was you said, "Okay, then you'll just come to my house."
Yes.
And I
I
mean, what
actually was gonna mention that.
yeah, so really that was like you saying, "I believe in you and I see this potential so much that you'll just come do my house first." And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. And that actually gave me confidence seeing the results and seeing that, you guys loved everything. I
Mhm.
mean, that to me, um, again, going back to what was holding me back
Mhm.
is I just felt like I needed experience to be able to say, okay, yeah, I'm good at this. I love it. I'm confident. I can definitely have people pay me for this service. So, I
Mhm.
mean, there's always that gap for people when they have an idea and they know they're good at it and they have a talent. But how do you fill that gap
Mhm.
and turn it into a business? Like,
Mhm.
that to me is the age old
That to me
question.
is
I
the
mean,
most exciting part because when you see somebody with your talent that you had, and I can remember that day I said, "Show me." I couldn't understand. Like
yeah,
my brain was not there. So you said, "I just like organizing." And I was thinking to myself, "Who likes to organize? Like
yes.
I cannot imagine this. So come to my house and show me what you do so I can wrap my brain around
Yeah,
this." And I was blown away at the
yes.
results. And I saw how neat and tidy my pantry was. Do you
Yeah,
remember
I do.
this?
I do.
It
You
was
guys loved it. I was like,
unbelievable.
it's just a
It was
pantry, but
and
you guys were,
immediately, like, the response of seeing that if I need this, there are several people out there that will need the same thing. And I think that for so
Mhm.
many, I think it's actually a spiritual warfare on a lot of people because the enemy wants us to think nobody's gonna want what you have.
Yes, but
Nobody's gonna want it, and you're not capable. And they're both lies. And I think just having the ability to see and pull talent and see it in someone else, but speak that into them,
yes.
if more people did that, like there'd be so many joys around here that are bringing their
Mhm.
true skill to life because you went to school to be a counselor, which to me is hysterical,
I
first of all,
use the
because you
skill.
probably, yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Trust me.
You probably still use it with going into people's homes.
I do. And that's the other part of it. I think there are a lot of people probably caught in that
Hmm.
they went to college and spent 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. You spend all this time and all this financial investment and you go and you get a degree and then you feel like I have to do that. And that was me. I went to school for counseling. That's what my dad did. That's what I wanted to
He's the
do.
best, by the way.
Well, thanks. I think he is too. And I saw that and people would come to him and say, you turned my marriage around. You
Uh-huh.
saved, my child. You saved me. And I just wanted to be a counselor because of that. And after about 6 months of doing that professionally, I knew it wasn't for me. And I'll just leave it there. I mean, I knew it. And then I wrestled with that for a while. And that's where, when I ended up being at home with the kids, I had that time to process, like, I love where I am in this phase, but what do I do next? And I knew that I didn't want to do counseling. And so then there's this talent that's there and this passion of mine that's there. But I felt a little hesitant because I had that degree. And I
Mhm.
guess that's what is hard for people, is they feel like, I did this, but you can still use your, experience and your education in whatever you decide to do as a business,
Right.
and whatever you're still going to bring that skill
That's
and that
right.
experience with you. And
Mhm.
believe me, I definitely use the counseling background.
I'm
I mean,
sure.
every project in some way. I mean, um, when I come into a space and I'm really getting to know a family and I'm having to ask them lifestyle questions,
Right.
personality questions.
Mhm.
I mean, questions are a huge part of my job, and reading people. So I feel like I would never want someone to hold back and use that as a reason, like, oh, I can't now, I'm stuck in this career. I don't believe that now.
Right. And I
So,
think too, it's never too late to switch gears. I think when you're doing
yeah.
something that you're passionate about, this is what I try to explain. If you are doing something you're passionate about, you're going to win all day long. You're
Yes.
going to use anything that you've learned along the way. I mean, I was a college dropout, so I didn't bring any skill set to the table and just recently graduated. And the truth of the
Mm,
matter is that brought all the stuff that I had learned into every career that I went into, and like just decided maybe I should just finish my degree and call it a
yeah,
day. But at the end of the day, I mean, whatever you're passionate about, there really is no reason you can't hit a home run with it. And
I
you've
agree.
proven that.
I
So,
agree.
what would you say to like the stay at home moms out there?
Mhm.
Because we have so many of them. And they're like, I want to do something, but I didn't go to school for
Yes.
business, or I have no idea. Like, how would I ever get started? I know the way you started it, your service. So,
Mhm.
there's a difference between service and product.
Mhm.
And so I think for you, it's a little easier because you didn't have to source a lot of product.
Yes, that's true.
And I love the service industry myself, so I totally understand it. But what would you say to those people who have these great ideas and they say, yeah, but I didn't go to
Mhm.
business school, or I don't know how to start a business? Like, what advice would you give the old Joy 8 years ago,
Oh,
9 years ago?
I've thought about it a lot, and I've actually had a lot of younger women come to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I love when that happens because it's like my Amber Duncan moment where I'm like, "Okay, sit down. Let's talk. Let me get my notebook out and, we'll map this out." But I feel like a big thing for me that I've told a lot of people is when you are getting into this, you need to be organized and have a plan. Like, you need
Mm-hmm.
to know um the why behind it. You need to have a journal, have a notebook, or if you're a tech person, have your document.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know the why behind it. You have to know who you're serving.
Right.
You have to know what your end goal is. You have to just dream,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have some kind of roadmap so that you know what this is all for. And it's, to me, it's grounding just to
Mm-hmm.
have something in writing that you keep referring back to, and just set small goals. Have something that you can put out there and say, okay, this is what I'm wanting in a
Mm-hmm.
perfect world with this business. Like, this is something, because you helped me do that. I mean, that was the initial meeting we had where it was like mapped out, and I still have the notebook, and it keeps evolving, and it's
That's
turned into more than a
awesome.
notebook. But that would be one of the main things. And then another thing I think, I've told a lot of people, and this is what I did, but you've got to get your feet wet, and
Mm-hmm.
you need actual ground experience. So it's not just talking about it and dreaming about
That's
it and
good.
putting it in a book. Like, I've told people, so you want to do event planning, or you want to do baking, and you need to model that, and you
Right.
need to act that out, and you've got to do it for free.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if you'll agree with that, but
Well, no, I love that concept. I love
yeah,
you've got to give to get. That's what I always tell people. When you first start in business, you have to show people what you're made of and what you can do. And when you give and you show and you basically put your talent on showcase, then people are going to want it. And that's how you can drive up your price.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. I know where I started. And
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
do
it's
too.
too low.
I do
You're
too.
like, it's too low. And you were right. You've always been right. Just by the way.
No.
Sure, you
I'm
appreciate
not always
it.
right, but
You've been right most of the
I
time.
couldn't believe you were doing it for as cheap as you
I
were.
know.
And now, how many reps do you have? Like, how many employees do you have right now that are going into homes doing this?
So right now, there are 6 of us.
Wow.
And it's,
That's
someone
crazy.
moves away, which that's always hard because I like things to be the same with our group and it's amazing. But life changes happen. And so yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It was me. Like it was me by myself
I know.
doing this. But I don't know. Like I feel like one of the best things I did was get the experience and get my photos. So if it's a product, it's a service, you've got to have photos to show what you do. And then, of course, the next thing is like using your experience and what you're doing for people, either very reduced or free, but then using social media to show that work. I mean, nothing speaks like a photo or a video.
Right.
Show people what you do and make them want that.
Right.
Make it look so good that they want it. And I think that's what kept happening. I was posting photos of the transformations, and then it was like one thing led to another where people were seeing that and so blown away by that. And that has kept going
because I'm sure
the photos got better and the work got better and the demos, the before and afters just get better.
Right.
And so that's what I've told people in the very beginning. You've got to use your talent and use your gifts and do that initially and then show that somehow. And social media, I mean, you can't beat it.
It's the marketing billboard.
It's everything. It's everything. And then the other thing I was thinking about too is like, I feel like you've got to have someone guiding you. Like
a mentor.
Someone you trust, someone you can ask questions, someone you admire, and you look at them and you see them modeling the way that you want to run your business. And I mean, to me, that's critical because otherwise you do feel isolated and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had you.
Yeah.
I had you to always, kind of come to, and like there'd be times where I would just ask you a question and it just was it assured me so much, to hear your very direct, like, you need to do this. I mean, I remember.
Did I make that face with it too, Joy?
Oh, yes, 100%. I think I make that face to other people now.
Hilarious.
But I had an opportunity come up and then you're like, oh, it doesn't matter that you haven't done it, fake it. And I was like, is that good advice? I mean, I don't know. And then you said no, because I know you can do it. Yeah.
I knew you could do it. And so I think that you doubted yourself, but I knew you were capable of it. For me, I had the same. I had a mentor, Harry.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. I think that is so important for people to get a mentor behind them and pour into them, because I give so much credit to my mentor and just being able to learn and grasp everything. And then you give it away, which I'm seeing you do. Like you're pouring into other people and sharing how you got started. And I think it just gives them hope that, hey, like if she can do it, I can do it.
Definitely. Of course. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, me, if I did this and I'm at this point, then, and you need someone. That's why you need a mentor. You need someone you can look to and get that encouragement and get that truth. I think that was the biggest thing for me is like in the earlier stages, I would come to you, and you would definitely drop truth right in there when I needed it. And I don't know. I feel like that doubt is just a part of a lot of our personalities.
We all do it.
And it's not wrong. It's okay. It's okay to feel it's, I think it's human nature to doubt, but you've got to always lock into that truth. And really, I started to tell myself like, okay, so let's say that I try this new thing with the business and it doesn't work out. So what?
Did you really, did that really cross your mind?
Yes.
I can't even believe that.
Yes. Many times. I mean, many times. Like, 9 years later, I definitely still have moments where it just, the doubt creeps in.
Yeah. It's a roller coaster for anyone in business.
But you quickly have to pivot and take it a
That's
different
right.
direction. But I mean, I feel like there are so many things you can do as a young adult, to set yourself up in a good, positive way so that you're not just kind of putting yourself out there.
Mhm.
Like someone came to me, they had this awesome idea, and I was like, okay, so like, do you have any ideas for a name? Or I started asking them questions, and I could tell they were panicked because they really hadn't thought it through at all. And I said, that's okay. I
Right.
love how you're dreaming. Like, I love where your head is, and I love your passion. I love the way you're thinking about it. But why don't you take some time? And I said, I'm just going to text you and ask you a couple questions for you to think over and then send it back to me because I want to see kind of where you are with it. And so we went back and forth a little bit, and then we met, and it was like a month later, here's this young woman who has an awesome, solid plan.
That's awesome.
And she said having someone ask me those questions really forced me to think about what I want this to be. And, she came up with a cool name, and
That's awesome.
which actually I think you might have helped somewhat with my business name.
No,
at
I
one
didn't.
Point.
You got to give
I
your
mean,
brother.
Yes,
You've got to
yes.
give your brother credit for the name.
I think you weighed in on it.
Yeah.
I think you weighed in on it and gave it a green light. But
I do love it.
yes,
Embrace your space.
He did come up with Embrace Your Space.
Which I think is so great because most people spend the majority of their time in their homes.
Yes,
and
they do.
so I know you guys are going in and recreating these spaces and coming through the pandemic. I'm sure that you guys did great.
And that's another moment of doubt.
Right?
That's another terrifying moment when you're a business owner and something like that happens on a global, level. And I mean, we just got on a Zoom call within the first couple of weeks and said, like, what are we doing? I mean, so we right away started adapting and doing other, virtual type services. But what happened was so unexpected. After everyone got through that, they looked around where they had been living every single day for months, and they're like, I don't even like this.
Yeah.
Fix it. And that's when the business very unexpectedly exploded, was 2000. So that was a really cool, like us being able to meet a need and people falling in love with where they live. I mean, that's a big deal for someone to come home and say, I love this.
Well, and I think
it.
that they were working all the time. And so honestly, they probably put it on the back burner that, hey, this is where we spend so much of our time. I want to create a space that I love. Or they couldn't afford it because they were paying so much in gas, or they chose to travel, whereas that wasn't allowed. So it allowed people to hit the pause button, recreate their spaces. And yeah, I agree. I mean, the pandemic for most businesses was like questionable. Are we going to survive? Are we not? Jackie experienced the same. I mean, we saw a 58% increase because people who had never shopped online were experiencing shopping online, and they loved it.
Oh, yes.
So it's just amazing to me what good came out of the pandemic for businesses, even though we all went in with the same concern that you had. So now, 9 years later, what's on the future for Embrace Your Space? Like, what exciting things do you have? I know you're doing Christmas decorations right now. Like, you go into homes, get them all set up for the holidays.
This year was surprising because people came to us way ahead, like, am I on the list? So it's neat because we've been able to come up with some really cool ideas for our clients and then see which ones they attach to, like which ones they get really excited about, and other ones that are like not as exciting for them. But the holiday service has been super cool. Like, they love it. I mean, having someone, kind of wish that one of them would do my house, honestly. Like, I've said to them, like, why can I not get the service?
It's gotta be nice because it's like a surprise. You come home and it's all decorated for Christmas.
It's your same stuff,
it's amazing.
But the way someone approaches it.
That's right.
And I mean, I guess one of the coolest things for me is seeing, we always just used to do houses. Like, we would just go in and do people's houses. And I think one of the coolest things for me, looking at what we have coming up and even things that we've done this year, I mean, churches, restaurants, doctors' offices, lawyers' offices. I mean, it's been really neat to see once people see what we do or they know someone who's used us, they're like, can you do this? Can you, we've done an RV, we've done a boat.
And you just say yes?
Yes.
Every time.
Yes, every time. No, that's definitely not a great business model, by the way. But I think it has been so neat to see the opportunities that have come up. Like, what can you guys not decorate? I think that's kind of, now it's like we can really transform anything, especially when someone trusts, they trust what we do as a
Right.
professional coming in. But like, I do anticipate the upcoming year being even bigger than the year before. I
So
mean,
are you ever going to franchise this?
I
Do you
would
ever see
love
yourself
to.
going like national?
Okay. So here's my mindset, which this is just from my heart,
Yeah.
but from the very beginning of Embrace Your Space, I have truly said this is God's business.
Mhm.
Like, that's the only way I can really explain where my heart is with it, but
Mhm.
whatever God wants. I mean,
Right.
that's been my motto for the business, and it has served me well because I don't know what's around the corner.
Right.
I don't really
Well, you don't have to
know.
think about it either.
I don't. I mean, there are times when, of course, as a business owner, you have concerns and, you wonder things and you try to control things. I mean,
Right.
maybe you're not as controlling as I am, but
Oh, no, not at
just
all.
slightly,
Yeah.
slight control.
Yeah.
But I have learned just to almost, surrender that part of it because there's only so much I can control. And my
Right.
team, those ladies are beyond incredibly talented and dedicated. And I adore them. They're amazing. And they trust me.
Mhm.
They know that I'm doing the best I can for the business.
Right.
And, they know that I control as many variables as I can. But at the end of the day, I want what God wants for this
Right.
business. And I trust that He will provide the clients we need and the opportunities we need and the ideas we need.
Right.
And we have to keep adapting. And I'm very open
Yeah.
to whatever that looks like. And I think, that is a big part of starting a business too, is
Mhm.
saying, okay, I want this to be a success, but also I want what God wants
Right.
for the business and
Right.
whatever that ends up being. But that to me is where my heart really is. And so whatever next year brings for us, I know it's going to be awesome. I
Yeah.
really believe that because like, this is not Embrace Your Space, about me.
Yeah.
It's my team. I
Right.
mean, those ladies are the best thing about this business, and they know feel that way, and I just look at their talent and what they do, and I'm blown away. When
Yeah.
they send me photos, I honestly cannot believe what they do.
That's
So I'm a
awesome.
fan of what they're doing, and
Right.
it kind of gets, I'm like, oh wow, hope mine's
Right.
as good as theirs.
Yeah.
But it's
healthy
cool.
competition.
Yes,
Yeah.
and people ask a lot about having a team of women, but like,
Which is not easy to do, by the way. Like working
yeah,
with a bunch of women is very difficult in and of itself.
yeah,
I came from an industry that was more male dominated, and then
hmm
down to Jackie when it was all females. I'm like, what is this about? So the fact that you have a
yeah,
solid team, they've been together for a while, and I'm watching
yes.
you guys from afar grow. It's pretty
We
remarkable.
like
It's a
each
huge
other.
accomplishment because it
Thanks.
truly is. It makes or breaks a business. Your people are everything,
Yes,
hands down.
I agree with you, and I
Yeah.
have the best. I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't, and that to me is, I say it every time we meet. Like, I don't want to do this on my own
Right.
ever again. I
Mhm.
did it, immediately knew I needed someone, and I mean, so to me, that is part of building a business for someone who's thinking about doing that. I know that at the beginning it can be scary, isolating. You're doing this, and but people will come alongside you, whether
Yep.
it's a team that you build, depending on what the business is, or just people who end up coming alongside you to support or give you
Mhm.
ideas, or I don't know. To me, that is a huge joy in it. Is
No
doing
pun
it.
intended.
Yeah, I know. It's like, that word is just so appropriate.
Yeah.
It brings me. The decorators are the ones that bring me, I would say, the most joy in this. And so, I mean, that to me is what makes any hard days worth it,
Yeah.
is just, knowing that we're all in it together.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really
So,
glad that you were able to share your story because I know for our listeners, if anything, I hope it inspires them. So many are listening,
mhm,
they have ideas,
yeah.
or they're so in debt that they just can't even see a way out. And I always share with people that everybody has a gifting that they've been given. And
Yes.
if they can flip their script, they can use their gifting, create a company or a business that will generate more wealth than they ever
Mhm.
imagined. And you've proven that. So congratulations to
Thank
you and
you.
your team.
Thank
Can't wait to
you.
see what happens in the upcoming year. And for those listening, if you want to get in contact with Joy, you can find them on Facebook, Embrace Your Space, and also on Instagram, Embrace Your Space.
Mhm.
And Joy, is there an email if they want to reach out directly to you to get in contact
Yep,
with you?
sure. It is EYS, just like Embrace Your Space, joyjoiner@gmail.com.
So feel free to connect. And for those listening, remember on the Reduce My Debt site, we do have the business brainstorming clarity call. So if you too have a business idea and would like to talk further, you can reach out and set up a clarity call with someone on our team so we can point you in the right direction and you can be sitting on the couch and sharing your
Yay.
journey 9 years later. So